Hi guys, I hope you're all well. We are on to chapter 28 today, which is called Testing Times. The Bridesmore exams came around quickly in early December, but after 4 weeks of Athena's tuition, and without the wishing pearl that the goddess of wisdom had confiscated, Elliot went into them better prepared than he could ever have imagined. His English exam was a doddle as he recalled the gods' memorable performance of Romeo and Juliet, with Hermes playing the tragic heroine. Latin was a cinch. He had to translate a passage about Perseus, who had dropped by during his world tour to sing a ballad about Medusa called Heart of Stone. Even history was a gift. Elliot had to write an essay about the Roman wars against Carthage, which Athena had reenacted a few days previously, transforming an ant colony into a full-scale Roman battlefield, with a woodlouse taking the role of Hannibal. The results were to be posted on the school notice board on Thursday morning, the last day of term. Elliot barely slept a wink on Wednesday night. At first, he'd felt the exams had gone well, but now he'd had some time to reflect on them. Had the French comprehension really been about some talking pigs? And had he actually got Nigeria muddled up with Norfolk in geography? But Elliot also had bigger things to worry about. Since the gods discovered the sale of Home Farm, they had worked night and day to find a way to get it back. They had explored every legal, and at least one illegal, possibility that Elliot could take, but they couldn't find a way to stop the sale. Patricia had legitimately exchanged contracts on the farm, and if they didn't do something, the sale would be complete the next day. "We'll think of something, old boy," Zeus kept saying, reading Elliot's sad face every time he thought of losing his beloved home. "I don't know what's wrong with me," said Virgo, breaking Elliot's thoughts as she banged around the kitchen in a flap, dropping eggs, spreading jam on her Weetabix, and putting 3 big spoonfuls of salt in her tea. "Since becoming immortal, I had this curious sensation demanding that I fill my stomach with food every hour of the day. But today, all the food just wants to leave my body by the nearest exit." Virgo was still struggling to come to terms with her newfound mortality. Elliot found the things that were catching her out highly amusing, smiling to himself as she ran to the toilet for the umpteenth time that morning. "Whoever thought of this system should be locked up in Tartarus," she yelled from the downstairs loo. "I wish I'd never found out what this room was for." The gods came into the kitchen, looking every bit as nervous as the 2 students before them. "How are you feeling?" said Zeus, attempting to sound cheery as he paced around the kitchen. "Okay," said Elliot unconvincingly. "We're fine!" shouted Virgo angrily from the loo. "Snoddle snot! Just remembered I've got that photosynthesis question wrong. That's it, I failed. I'm totally suboptimal." "I'm sure you've both done your best," said Athena, who looked like she hadn't slept, despite the fact she hardly ever did. "You'll be amazing, Ellie," said Josie, giving Elliot a hug. "You always are." "Well said, Jojo. Will you all just calm down?" said Aphrodite, perching on the kitchen table and taking a bite of Elliot's toast, the only Olympian to appear entirely relaxed. "So you get kicked out of school. Big deal. Don't stress, Ellie. We'll look after you." "That's all he needs," muttered Athena, who had now taken to pacing around the kitchen behind Zeus. "Oh, come on. Let's get you to school and put you out of your misery," said Aphrodite, magically summoning her car keys. "I'll let you drive." Elliot had been enjoying this secret part of his daily trip to school down the quiet country lanes, but even he knew that today it would be particularly unwise for a sleepless, anxious 12-year-old to get behind the wheel. He threw his rucksack into Aphrodite's car, which had been transformed into a luxurious pink 4x4 as a more suitable vehicle for the English winter, and sat in silence as Aphrodite drove them both to the school gates. "Good luck, Virgo. Good luck, Ellie," she said cheerily, as Virgo threw up her breakfast on the side of the road. "I'll see you later. We're all proud of you no matter what happens." The 2 friends trudged towards the school as if they were walking down death row, their nerves keeping them silent as they entered Bridesmore through the grand wooden doors. A crowd of pale students hung around the notice board, awaiting their fate with dread. Bryony and Dominic comforted each other in a corner, each holding a tissue in case the other one cried and the other threw up. The staff room door opened with a long, slow creak, every head spinning towards the shaking figure that emerged. Call Me Graham tottered nervously to the board, apparently surprised to find a large group of children in his school. He quickly stapled the result sheet up and then hurried away, looking like he might cry. There was a moment's stillness as everyone froze, not wanting to make their first move towards their doom. But the slightest twitch of someone's foot was enough to send the entire crowd racing over to the board. Elliot and Virgo held back, watching pupils peel away from the crowd with cheers or tears. They waited until the last person had left before walking side by side to the board. They looked over every sheet of paper, taking in the information on each one, before turning to each other once more. Snortle snot, they chimed in unison. Back at the farm, the gods paced around the kitchen in anxious silence, staring at Hermes' igod. Virgo had promised to contact them with the phone Aphrodite had smuggled to her. Not being funny, moaned Hermes, fluttering from one end of the room to the other, but I haven't been this nervous since I last ate carbs. He's a smart cookie, said Aphrodite, painting Josie's nails. Prissy Pants has been stuffing his head with this rubbish for weeks. He'll ace it. I don't know, said Athena. He was a long way behind. If only I'd had more time. You've done everything you can, said Zeus. The rest is up to Elliot. My boy will be brilliant, said Josie. He always is. Hermes' igod beeped a text message, making all the gods jump. They stood and stared at the phone, no one daring to read the news. Well, go on, for heaven's sake, shrieked Aphrodite, all illusion of calm now gone. Read it. No way, babe, said Hermes. What if it's bad news? We'll never know unless you read it, snapped Athena. You read it then, said Hermes, throwing her the phone. Well, it's not my... Father, you should read it, said Athena, passing the igod to the father. Not on your Nelly, said Zeus, pushing the device towards Aphrodite. My nerves are shot. Affy, go on, open the bawly message. I'll give it here, said Hephaestus, who had been fixing the damage to the kitchen floor caused by the earthstone. I'll read the bloomin' thing. He stormed over to the igod and snatched it up. Mate, seriously, any chance you could wash your hands before you... No, never mind. Hermes winced as the blacksmith's filthy fingers smearing the screen. Hephaestus scanned the text. Well, I'll be... he grunted. What? Screamed the gods in unison. The boy done good, said smart Hephaestus. Average of 92% across the board, with 96% in history. The gods exploded into a chorus of whoops and yells. Told you so, laughed Josie as Hermes hugged her in midair. Well, this calls for a celebration, cheered Zeus. Let's go and pick Elliot up in style. Later that day, Zeus, Athena, Aphrodite and Josie stood by the enormous pink limo created from Aphrodite's car. Zeus was dressed in his light blue tuxedo with the frilly white shirt, his white hair slicked back. Aphrodite sported a bright pink strapless evening dress, while her sister wore a more modest dark blue satin off-the-shoulder gown. They had dressed Josie in her favourite red dress and had delighted in doing her hair and makeup. The car was filled with balloons decorated with Elliot and Virgo's faces and was laid out inside with a banquet of all their favourite foods. Hurry up, Hermie, we're going to be late, Aphrodite called inside the shed as they waited for Hermes and Hephaestus. Hermes floated elegantly out of the shed in his designer tuxedo, abandoning his usual winged hat for some expensive sunglasses with the little gold wings on the side. Hold tight, he announced. May I present your driver for this evening, the grunt with a hump, Mr. Hephaestus. Boom. I am not going out like this, huffed a moody voice from inside the shed. Oh, mate, you look great, grinned Hermes. Not even joking. Come on, out. Heaving a sigh, Hephaestus trudged to the car. The other Olympians bit their lips at the sight of his shiny gold chauffeur's outfit, complete with a gold hat that had "Congratulations, Elliot and Virgo" written in sequins around it. Not one word, the blacksmith grumbled as he assumed his place at the wheel, slamming the door loudly enough to hide the eruption of laughter outside. Good show, old man, said Zeus as he helped Josie into the back of the limo. To Brizemore, let's bring our boy home. The morning had flown by in such a blur that Elliot felt as though he'd barely arrived when the final assembly finished and school was over for another term. His heart was heavier than Mr. Boyle's backside as he contemplated the loss of his home the very next day, although he did allow himself one moment of cheer as he passed his teacher in the corridor. Merry Christmas, sir, he grinned as Boyle pushed past him with a horrible grunt. See you next term. Go easy on the mince pies. Get lost, Hooper, snarled Boyle, without stopping, furious at being stuck with this irksome boy and suddenly extremely hungry for a pack of mince pies. Elliot and Virgo stepped out into the chilly afternoon. You did it, said Virgo, getting over the worst of her wounded pride at being beaten by Elliot in every single exam. Never thought I'd be pleased to come back to this place, smiled Elliot, but it actually feels good. Not as good as leaving it, but pretty good. Yes, this Christmas break will be an excellent chance to get ahead for next term, said Virgo, but I suppose we can take today off, after this surprise party. Oh. She bit her lip as the words she'd been forbidden to say slipped out of her mouth. Listen, look surprised when they all turn up. I'm no good at this lying thing. You'll learn, said Elliot. Trust me. The pink limo sped into the Bridesmore driveway, spilling with the Immortals and Josie out of the car. They cheered and pulled party poppers the size of champagne bottles over the triumphant children as the other pupils stared, bursting with jealousy. Remind me to teach you the word subtle, smiled Elliot as he ushered everyone back into the limo. Well done, baby, said Mum with a proud smile. I love you so much. Love you too, Mum, said Elliot, giving her a great big hug. Now let's party. The limo screeched around the circular driveway and raced back to Home Farm, leaving only a trail of party streamers, a waft of pink exhaust fumes, and one deeply suspicious history teacher resolved to get to the bottom of the strange world of Elliot Hooper. He did it. He made it. That's one good thing for Elliot then. Right, we are on. There is one more chapter left. So after that, it's up to you. I don't mind. But would you guys like me to carry on reading, but read Skellig next, which is the book we were going to start before Who Let the Gods Out? Let me know. So you can either comment in the video, you can put a message in the chat room, you can email, I don't mind, but let me know if you would like me to carry on these videos but move on to this book. So I'll remind you of it, I'll read you the blurb. So, Skellig it is called, and it says, Michael was looking forward to moving house. It was all going to be wonderful. But now his baby sister's ill, his parents are frantic, and Dr. Death has come to call. Michael feels helpless. Then he steps into the crumbling garage. Ooh. Okay, so let me know if you would like me to read that to you. I don't mind either way. But if it's something you'd like, just let me know. Okay. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I will see you tomorrow for the last chapter. Bye.